If you haven't subscribed to my channel, just do it right now. I'm desperate. Like, just do it. Now let's begin top 10 best anime of fall 2020. There was a bunch of anime out, and number 10, we have Kuma 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 Bear. It's from the isekai genre, and like this chick gets teleported. The Sword Art Online VR type shit gets teleported into this virtual world and then gets this weird bear costume. It's a slice of life thing, so anyone can enjoy it. I don't personally like it, but people do, so there's also some cute stuff going on here, so I'm pretty sure anyone, literally anyone, can enjoy it. So let's move on to the next one. Number 9, we have Our Last Crusade, or The Rise of a New World. It's a Romeo and Juliet type thing. There's a war going on. The guys and the girl are on the opposite sides and they start falling in love with each other. There's some real cool action stuff, and the story is pretty much basic. And it's pretty cool. You can watch it if you want to, it won't bore you, but I don't personally like it. So, moving on for number 8, we have Wandering Witch, The Journey of Elena, or Majo no Tabi Tabi in Japanese. This is like Harry Potter. Witches are a thing, and they graduate a school like Hogwarts and become witches, and then they get hired by certain people, get paid to do stuff. It's a little different from Harry Potter. I mean, obviously, because it's anime. It's like Kino no Tabi, but lighter. There are some really dark episodes, so Number 7 is I'm Standing on a Million Lives. I didn't recognize the Japanese name. This is another one from the isekai genre. This is a little different from most isekai because they travel back and forth from the real world and the isekai world. So it's pretty dark and not dark at the same time. The MC is really weak. Story is pretty interesting. I kinda like it, but it doesn't make it up to my top 10 list, so yeah. For number 6 is Jujutsu Kaisen. It's shonen and most anime fans already know this anime and they already have a favorite character, which I think is a Kakashi ripoff, by the way. So there are things called curses born from human malice and negativity, and this guy named Yuji Itadori was like really strong from the beginning for some reason. For someone who's in the occult club, he's very strong. And he gets possessed by this demon named Sukuna, and he gets recruited by Jujutsu sorcerers who exercise these curses. As you can see, these monsters are called curses here. And that's Yuji Itadori over there. Just doing his own shit without even powers. How the fuck does he even, like, get strength? Number 5, there's Tonikawa Kawaii, or Tonikawa for short. This is a pretty famous anime. It's a rom-com slice of life, so I'm pretty sure anyone who watches it can enjoy it. Nerd named Izaki Nasa. His name is literally Nasa. He has his life mapped out and he's like confident he's about to make history and shit. And then he's like on his way home from getting his results. And he sees this cute girl and gets hit by a truck. And this girl saves his life. And he's like, this girl's about to go. Despite his crippled body, you followed her and confesses his love to her. And she accepts his confession. on one condition. He will have to marry her, and then only they can be together. So, you know the rest. Number 4 is Noblesse. It's a dark fantasy comedy sci-fi anime. A vampire named Rizal awakens from his 820-year sleep. He holds the special title of Noblesse, which is a pure blood vampire and protector of all, monsters. He has a butler named Frankenstein, which I think, by the way, is Victor Frankenstein, because he does experiments and stuff. The anime is pretty cool, but I suggest reading the manga, the Korean manga. And if you didn't know the term for Korean manga, it's manhwa, by the way. But the anime is which got me into the manga, so yeah, it's also pretty cool. It's very fast paced though, but yeah, I suggest you watch it. I personally kinda like it, but I prefer the manhwa or webtoon. It's made by Crunchyroll and Webtoon, so it's like the third webtoon anime that's out since God of High School and Tower of God. Number 3 is Magatsu War Heights Wars. It's a dark fantasy magic kind of thing. There are two main characters here, Leocadio and Inumile, and they're on opposite sides. As you can see, they're like fighting each other here. In this anime, all of these shit are happening because of one weapon smuggling incident. It's pretty good. It's one of my favorite fall 2020 animes. I suggest you watch it. For number 2, it's Talentless Nana, or Munona Nana. In the year 2000 something, Earth was assaulted by monsters that would come to be known as the enemy of humanity. In order to deal with this threat, special schools composed of teenagers with extraordinary abilities were formed. These people, who came to be known as the Talented, had abilities that could defy the rules of reality. Among these people with supernatural powers was an outlier, an individual who was sent to one of these schools despite having no innate special abilities whatsoever. This is the story of our protagonist who attempts to defeat the enemies of humanity through the use of intelligence and manipulation alone. Well, that was the synopsis, and it's one of my favorite fall 2020 animes. It's like My Hero Academia, but a lot darker. Before I get to number 1, here are some other fall 2020 stuff I watched. Real Romanesque. Real Romanesque is like the perfect anime if you are a lolicon, and I am part lolicon, so I watch this shit. It's not interesting at all. It's just a bunch of lollies doing some train stuff, like describing some train accessories and shit. It's pretty funny, and each episode is only like 3 minutes long, and that's despite having an ending which is like a minute long, so the episode is basically only 2 minutes long. Dragon Quest Dai no Daiboken. It's a shonen anime, and it's very basic. The story is very cliche and basic. The Dark Lord gets defeated by a hero, and this dude gets raised by the monsters that were abandoned by the Dark Lord, and the monsters are like good unless they are under the Dark Lord's influence, which is weird. Number 1, Yuko no Moriarty. This takes place in the late 19th century when Sherlock Holmes and Scotland Yard were a thing. The story is very interesting, intriguing, and this is one of my favorite fall 2020 animes. This is actually my favorite one. If you don't know who William James Moriarty is, he's like known as the rival of Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is a detective consultant and he's a criminal consultant. The rich gets richer and this strict class stratification. The average citizen has little chance of successfully rising up to the top where the despicable nobility rules over them all. And William James Moriarty couldn't stand this, so he helps people commit crimes and he covers them up perfectly. The story is very interesting and everything else is very well done in this anime. Excuse my awkwardly low voice. I'm trying to be as quiet as possible here because everyone else in my house is sleeping. So whoever's watching, if anyone's watching, subscribe if you haven't. Do it.